to Sovereign Conversations with the Soul Attorney, the podcast where law, leadership, and liberation collide. I'm your host, Vanessa Locicero, lawyer, entrepreneur, energy worker, and your guide to building a business and life that's truly sovereign. Here, we challenge the status quo, outdated business rules, and explore what it really means to be sovereign in your life and work. Whether we're breaking down legal essentials, tapping into spiritual downloads and the power of intention, or we're having deep, unfiltered conversations with visionary entrepreneurs, healers, and thought leaders, every episode is designed to help you step into your power, protect what matters, and create your life on your own terms. So if you're ready to create a life and business rooted in belief, power, and purpose, take a deep breath, step into your sovereignty, because court is now in session. Oh, 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 oh. Welcome back to Sovereign Conversations with the Soul Attorney, the place where we talk about all things empowering and building a life on your own terms. I am so excited because today I have my very first guest on the podcast, and it's going to be epic. So let me tell you a little bit about this guest. My guest today is Kelly Adams. She's a powerhouse business strategist and transformational mindset coach with over 2 decades of experience building and scaling multiple businesses, including selling her own company after 12 successful years in 2018. Now she's dedicated to helping others step into their fullest potential, and I know from personal experience. Kelly's true genius lies in her ability to connect deeply, disrupt limiting beliefs, and unlock untapped possibilities. She's not just here to teach strategies. She's here to help you unlearn, to release the hustle that drains you, the doubt that keeps you small, and the stories that no longer serve you. Her philosophy is simple yet transformative. When you feel good, you play good. And when you play good, you get paid good. I love it. Through her blend of emotional resonance and practical tools, Kelly empowers others to expand their capacity to lead, earn, and live unapologetically. Her talks are a mix of fire and grace, teaching how to rewrite the rules, master your mindset, and design a life and business that feel just as good as they look. Prepare to leave this episode feeling inspired, emboldened, and ready to claim your next level. Because when Kelly speaks, transformation happens. And this is absolutely true because I know from firsthand experience working with Kelly, I've had a transformational time, and I'm so excited for her to share all of her wisdom and energy with you on the show today, because this show is all about sharing multiple perspectives of sovereignty from different professionals, different walks of life, and it's to empower you to live your most sovereign life in business, in your relationships, in your life with your family, with your money, with your mindset, all around. So without further ado, let me welcome Kelly to the show.
Hi, Vanessa.
Hi, Kelly.
Here.
Yes, thank you so much for coming on the show today for so many reasons. And I want to just kick off the show today by asking you, what does a sovereign mindset mean to you? What does sovereignty mean to Kelly?
To me, a sovereign mindset is a trifecta of being self-led, owning your power and autonomy. So not giving in to what the world wants you to think, feel, or believe, but owning your thoughts, owning your decisions, and owning your actions without needing to justify, without the need for external validation, and without permission. You know I hate rules. So,
Oh, yeah.
No.
Absolutely. I love that. And in your work, what are some tools or what are some things that you do generally, and then maybe more specifically, that empower the people you work with to kind of get in that sovereign mindset?
Yeah. Well, so I guess I'll walk you through like 3 to 5 things that to me like embody a sovereign mindset. And one is taking full responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
Like I always say, every choice has an invoice. Sometimes the cost is an investment, and sometimes it costs you negative in your personal health savings account. But when you can actually embody full responsibility for who you are, where you are, what you're choosing to think, what you're choosing to feel for your success, for your lack of success, for your circumstances, that's a game changer. So I would
Mm-hmm.
say taking full responsibility. You have to kill your ego here because your ego is not your amigo. This is like a hard pill to swallow. Like if you're not where you want to be in your life or business, usually we do a really good job as humans justifying, well, if I don't have the sales I want, it's because my marketing is bad. Well, or maybe you're just the problem. So part of being sovereign, owning your power is also owning your truth. So,
Mm-hmm.
and then secondary to that is to release a victim mentality.
I was just thinking that. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I always say, and one of my mantras back in the day when I was really dove deep into this work is, it's happening for me, not to me. That's not like a
Mm-hmm.
new phrase, but it's a phrase that can help you in the moment kind of step out of what you're trying to justify and really reframe it to accept it. Like I remember like when you do kind of this work and you're on a personal development journey or you're looking to become unstoppable, it's almost like unbecoming. And a lot of unbecoming is releasing the victim mentality.
Yeah.
And that's hard because we don't want to sometimes even acknowledge or see, or more importantly, even feel the reality of what's actually happening in our lives. Um, and then seeking inner knowingness takes work to get there, but inner knowingness rather than seeking outside approval. If it's in you, it's for you. If it's coming up, it needs to come out in all aspects of your life. Um, Operating from abundance, that's a big one. Scarcity kind of goes hand in hand with a victim mentality, but knowing that each one of us is given the same amount of time, even if the opportunities aren't the same. I've been told my entire life I can't do something, but I chose to bet on me instead of betting on the world and what the world told me I could do. So you have to realize
Mm-hmm.
part of sovereignty, a sovereign mindset is like knowing that each one of us is creating our own reality. And then the last one, I guess, just to stay on brand with the conversation, is breaking free from societal norms and expectations that don't align with your vision and being comfortable being a square in a round hole. Like you're meant to stand out. You don't need to fit in, but that's scary for a lot of people. That is so scary to get to that point where you can actually get your body and your mind on board with that way of thinking and doing.
Oh, yeah. I totally can resonate with that. And something that I thought about while you were talking is that trust in our intuition and trusting in our own inner compass is such a big part of that unlearning process because
Yeah.
our whole lives we're taught, what other people want us to think. We're conditioned as young as babies to, for safety and for
Yeah.
all of these things, and that unlearning process is a like almost like unlistening to other people's, the shoulds that I always say, don't should all over yourself.
Yeah.
That unlearning is kind of happening at the same time as learning how to trust your own inner knowing and that um, self direction that I think is so important to trusting that my choices are, going to be for my highest good. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on that intuition piece.
Well, I think it takes a level of work to even be able to trust your intuition
For
because
sure.
most of us are so busy. We're like this go, go, go mentality. Like there's no badge of honor for like being so busy. But it's
Oh,
like when you're so busy, even if your intuition is screaming at you, hello, girl, listen up, like you can't hear her. So I feel like it literally takes killing the stories, peeling back the layers to be able to hear her, receive her, and then take action from that place. And I want to touch on something you shared because most of our patterns and programming is set in place by the age of 12. By the age of 35, you're operating in all patterns. So it's like, if you want to choose different, or if you're stuck, or if you don't like where you're at, you have to start questioning everything. Like, I remember when I began this journey, it was after we sold our company, when I went on a becoming journey. I had to question everything because the money stopped, the validation stopped. And I was like, who am I if I'm not Kelly with Ace? And that took me on a huge, like, unbecoming journey of like figuring out what I like to do, what actually excites me other than money. Why do I need money to validate me? Why do I want so much praise and applause? So it was like really going on a journey, but it was a choice at that point in time. I feel like a lot of these patterns protect us and keep us safe up until a certain point, and then they don't. And then you're like, okay, I'm a grown woman, I'm a grown man now. So it's a choice to choose to do different. And a lot of people don't want to take that step, and that's okay too. But those that choose, you really have to create the awareness, because you can't clear what you can't see. And that's a big part of like actually having a sovereign mindset is awareness. That's the first step, honestly.
And in my experience, getting awareness takes work. It's like not, it's the heavy lifting. It's,
Right.
you know,
Yeah.
it's doing the shadow work, looking yourself in the mirror, being, you know, brutally honest with where you're at, going back to taking that accountability and stepping out of the victim role. Like,
Yeah.
until you can look in the mirror, you know, and say, I got myself here. The world didn't get me here. That then you can start to identify all of those external pieces.
Yeah. So, like a phrase I like to say that like kind of sums up exactly what you just said. We get so conditioned to the chaos or the stories we're telling ourselves, we don't second guess them at all. So most of us feel safer with the devil within than the unknown. Because,
Yeah.
like, even if you're living in a story like, I have to work hard to make money, like, just, I mean, I feel like everybody deals with money at a certain point.
Mm-hmm.
You have to then question, where does that belief come from? And then notice how it's actually influencing your decisions, your actions, your emotions. And then, like, is that story true? Is there even any data and evidence that that story is true? Or did we just hear it growing up from mom or dad or grandparents that, like, oh, you must work hard and 40 hours, put in your time and then
Money
retire?
doesn't grow on trees, like all those things.
Like,
Yeah.
as little people, how you perceive those stories,
Yeah.
and you don't notice it, but the body remembers it. The body's
Mm.
like a book of stories. So mentally, a lot of us are aware, like, oh, maybe we aren't quite where we want to be. But then it's like level two, to kind of bring up the stories in a safe way, clear them out, so then you can rewrite the narrative you desire to operate from as a grown woman, period.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think there's so many iterations of that, because what you dream for yourself as your most sovereign, you know, visualization. Like, I think of my story when I was working for like other lawyers, just it trapped in that glued to my desk scenario, you know, yeah, for showing face. And I had a vision of what I wanted my, you know, most sovereign life to be. And the last couple of years I've manifested that and created the life that I live today. And my vision for the future keeps growing and keeps evolving the more I trust my intuition and the more I take those actions that are in alignment with that little vision, the little voice that's like, oh, maybe this will be great. Like, this is
Yeah.
that, you know, intuitive nudge that, you know, when I was sitting back at that desk hating my life, that was like, there's got to be something more than this. There's got to be something better than this. And listening to that allowed me to tap into this vision beyond. Um, so, yeah, like, is there any specific tools or practical takeaways or something that you can offer the audience that's listening that will help them tap into the most sovereign version of themselves, and yeah, help them put that visualization together and take steps to get there?
Yeah, I'll share. I'll whip out like a couple 3 to 5 steps that someone, if you're just listening,
Perfect.
tuning in, could do. But what I want to reiterate what you just said, like you're living your dream life now. I fortunate enough to have a back row seat to that, the front row seat to that. But it's like the key thing is how many stories you've had to actually kill around what
Yeah.
it's supposed to look like to be an attorney, what it's supposed to feel like, how you're supposed to work, when you're supposed to work, like even the way that you enter into your practice, and then all the other things that you're involved in with your Cornerstone membership and the podcast. Like you had to kill the stories to have a level of comfort to take action on those things, period.
Mm. Oh, yeah. Oh, it's so
I would
true.
I would say like step one is awareness. I always say you can't solve a problem from the same level of consciousness that created it. So a really easy thing to do is like track your triggers, like pay attention, like to a change in your emotions, unless you're like running that much. This is a bigger issue. If you can't even feel, then you definitely need to reach out. I don't know what you need to do. But like, what you need to be able to track your triggers. And it doesn't have to be hard. Get a basic notebook, but pay attention to what annoys you. Is it that colleague walking up and questioning the email you wrote? And then ask yourself, like, first, just make note, like, track it for 7 days. Like, because again, you have to start to see patterns. You're
Patterns.
living in these patterns and you just don't even recognize it.
Mhm.
So why does Sally from the office, when she sends me an email, what is it triggering within me? Why am I so annoyed? Well, then if you sit with it, you might be like, well, because I feel like Sally doesn't know what I'm doing. You know what I mean? And again, if you're tracking these, the patterns will show up. So first you have to look for the patterns, and then you have to begin challenging the narrative. Question everything. Like I share my sweet potato story a lot because it's like a story that's easy to understand, like this on a bigger scale. When I was little tiny Kelly, it's at Thanksgiving and I'm at my cousin's house and all the dressings and potatoes and everything are set out. So I'm standing in line, kids go first. And then it's like, my cousin looks at me and he's like, I mean, I'm probably at elementary school. He's like, ew, sweet potatoes are gross. Okay, I never ate a sweet potato. The first time I'm 45, almost 46. The very first time I ate a sweet potato was 4 years ago. 4 years ago, I was out at this like barbecue place. Somebody we're with ordered sweet potato fries. And I'm like, ew, those are gross. And I had this aha moment. She's like, they're not gross.
Wow.
And
They're
I
so
tried
good.
one, and I was like, holy shit, these are so good.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
is a story. That's an example of something that the listeners can resonate with. I never second guessed it. When was the
Yeah.
last time somebody told you like, oh my gosh, that restaurant is gross, don't go there? And then you don't even experience it. You just hold on to that story. So
Mhm.
when you track your triggers, you can find some of the stories that you're holding on to. And then you can say, is this true? Is it true I don't like sweet potatoes? The answer was no. I mean, I just had sweet potato fries twice this week now. You're going to miss out on sweet potatoes for 35 years because
That's
I
so
was
sad.
operating under a story.
Yeah.
And so then I look for evidence that contradicts the belief. Well, I actually tried a sweet potato fry and I liked it. So if we're talking about money, the example I gave earlier is I have to work hard to make money. Well, how can you question that? Who do I know in my life that makes money with ease? And look for evidence. You're always going to find what you're looking for because that's the body likes to kind of protect itself. The goal is to stay away from pain towards pleasure. So you have to start exploring the opposite. If money's hard, who makes money with ease? And then begin to reframe it like consciously. This is the hard part. This is the lifting. This is like, this is the mindset gem. You want to build out and get lean. 12 weeks to see anything, but people like will try mindset for 1 second and they're like, well, it didn't work. Well, have you supported? Are you trying to are you showing
Yeah.
up?
Is it continuous? Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like, so I like literally, it felt like confession when I did this back in the day. I'm like, I feel blank. I feel like I don't like sweet potatoes, but I choose to feel this way because it's a choice. And then I would say, but I also choose to let it go. And that's how I began that rewiring of that. And then like, so those are like the first two steps. Does that make sense so far? Like,
Yeah, absolutely.
create
I
the awareness,
totally resonate with that. Yeah.
create the awareness, question it, and then you're rewiring it with repetition and proof. Like, for example, I love this analogy because I'm very visual and I like to give people visuals so they can understand it and have an aha moment.
Mm-hmm.
You're going out to the forest, you're going on a hike. You know, you can walk the path because it's been walked a million times. Your triggers, your thoughts, your patterns, they're happening automatically with or without you. If you want to create a new path, you want to be crazy and go off the beaten path, well, you're going to have to step down and the grass is still like 6 inches tall. And then you practice and you keep going that other way. And then it gets a little bit, it gets
Back down.
it's 5 inches,
Mm.
4 inches, 3 inches, because what you're doing is literally creating a new neural pathway. You're literally creating a new way of thinking, feeling, and behaving. So you have to also track the wins that prove the new belief. And that's
Mm.
part of the rewiring through the repetition. Because it's like, for example, back to that money story, if we're questioning it and then we're reframing money flows to me with ease, I'm aligned, I'm strategic, then the new belief is I'm worthy of high paying clients. I don't have to work so hard. Your body's going to eject that like Norton antivirus all day long. So you have
Yeah.
to realize, again, your ego's not your amigo. You have to get through the everyday consciousness and get into your subconscious to actually allow these thoughts to rewire. But you can consciously catch them in the moment as they're happening and then practice reframing them. And rewiring's the hardest part. Like what we're talking about, like
Yeah.
it might sound complicated. Once you do it, it takes like, it's like riding a bike. It's hard at first. Next time you jump on, you're like, you know, you catch the thought and your body's full out resistance, like does not believe you. A couple more times, it's like, oh shoot, we're strengthening that path. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so then where it automatically goes to the default, it's going to start slowly going to the new pathway, the new way
But
of
wait.
thinking.
Yeah, but wait. No,
Yeah,
but wait. Yeah. The
yeah,
pattern interrupt.
yeah. So it's like sexy work. It's sexy because that's how you own your power. That's how you bet on yourself and stop listening to the world. And that's
Mm.
what makes you unstoppable. Because betting on yourself, I will always bet on myself because I know what I bring to the table. I'm not going to worry what anybody else tells me I can and cannot do. But that
Totally.
confidence I feel like is earned. It's built through reframing, through the letting go, through finding your own truth. That's how confidence is built to do any of this work in the first place, honestly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. And that all like everything you were saying to me, it's like that's what sovereignty means. Like that's the gist of it. Just feeling that complete confidence in your own inner compass to know and trust that you can, get what you want because you're looking for it out there in the world and you're doing the work and you're putting in the reps. So I absolutely love that. And after the rewiring and that piece, um, is there anything else after that, or is that work like forever? Like that's like forever work.
Well, I mean, if you're just listening this and you're like, oh, hey, I want to get a little bit of movement, cool. You can get movement. But to actually, I mean, I use a lot of different actual kinds of tools to, whether it's breath work, whether it's EFT, whether it's hypnotherapy, whether it's EMDR. So there's things you can do to expedite the process. Money loves
Mm-hmm.
speed. I want my clients to get movement super quickly.
Totally.
So I have some secret sauce to expedite that. But from the average person just looking to start this work, then it's basically just an ongoing sovereignty check in, noticing when the patterns creep back up, pausing, realigning, and then ask yourself, this is a good key question that's an ongoing question you could ask yourself to these original triggers you created. Am I responding or am I reacting?
Mm-hmm.
Power move into owning your power. Am I in my power or seeking external validation from this thing, this moment, this thing that's coming up? So I think it's like the ongoing is consistently releasing and realigning. But that's just like sets and reps. It's super easy. You don't even overthink it. I guarantee, like certain stories, correct me if I'm wrong, certain stories that you used to tell yourself, it's kind of like new level, new devil. They're going to show back up
Yep.
a lot of times on your growth edge when you're going to the next level. Oh yeah, you thought you want to raise your rates, you do it, feels like nothing's happening, you go back to what's familiar or comfortable. You have to check yourself in that moment and decide to hold the intention, hold the power, because again, it's an old pattern trying to rear its ugly head to take you out of the game. So that's why confidence is super important. And just like self-trust, just trusting the process. It's a journey, it's not a sprint, it's not a rush. It's like taking a little piece of something and catching an awareness, catching a thought, and second guessing it. That's the easiest way to start. Just start second guessing your thoughts.
Oh, that's so good. It really acts as that check and balance to, the little, gnome or the little devil or that little negative voice in our head that, wants us to doubt and all of those things. So I definitely love that. Um, and something you said about you were kind of listing some of the dualities, respond versus react, respond to your internal versus external. And the respond versus react is something that I've really thought about, especially when it comes to the law, especially when it comes to like people taking action to set themselves up on a solid foundation, legally protect themselves before, having to react to problems as they arise. And I think it applies not just in legal, in every aspect of your life, because if you're doing the work that we talked about, these mental reps, becoming aware, questioning, the little voice in our head with the facts. As a lawyer, I'm always looking for the facts. So where's the evidence? So if we're going on that journey and doing the work of uncovering the facts, looking for the evidence to prove to ourselves what we can accomplish, it allows us to respond to our vision and create the vision rather than reacting, when something happens that we don't like or that's, not in alignment with our highest vision. So I love that. Kelly, are there any final words or is there anything you'd like to share with our audience about how they can best get in touch with you and follow along for some of your amazing wisdom?
Sure. I'm going to summarize what you just said, especially from the attorney. And basically, what you're saying is facts versus feelings.
Yeah.
And the data to back it up. So when you're doing this work, that's essentially what you're doing. You are differentiating facts versus feelings. Feelings are transient, they're fleeting, they have about a 90-second chemical response. And then facts, there's data to back it up. So like back to the sweet potato story, there was no data to back it up. I had never tried one. So I was operating in a feeling. But as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, as a woman, if you're listening to this, who desires to lead, because women are very emotional beings, you have to really master that facts versus feelings. That's a game changer. And yes, I'm Kelly Adams Coaching on IG. That's where I spend the most of my time. And then I have an incredible 5 days to an unstoppable mindset. It's free on my website. It's literally says free 5-day challenge. My website is kellyadamscoach.com. The whole point of this challenge is to give you the awareness. The whole point is for you to leave and have an aha moment. It's 5 steps. It's actually dripped over a 14-day window. But to be able to have the awareness on the things that are potentially keeping you from having a sovereign mindset, from being self-led, from owning your power. So it's an activation into your next level and into owning your power for sure.
Amazing. Thank you so much for all of your time today, your wisdom, the gold nuggets, everything that you shared with the audience today, Kelly. I know that we have some tangible steps that are going to help our listeners go from, feeling where they're at today to just a little bit more sovereign than they were before listening, a little bit more self-led and more empowered. And to all my listeners out there, I want to invite you into an in-person networking event called Legal Eats. If you've been to Legal Eats before, it's a really great place where we can connect and talk about all kinds of business issues and legal issues in a community setting and feel, that connection with one another. With that in mind, I want to say thank you to all my listeners. Hope you have a great rest of your day. And with that, court is now in recess. Oh, 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 oh. That's a wrap for this episode of Sovereign Conversations with the Soul Attorney. If today's conversation sparked something in you, let's keep that momentum going. Head on over to www.thesoulattorney.com to grab free resources, explore my membership community, The Cornerstone, and step even deeper into your power. And don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share this episode with someone who needs to hear it. Until next time, my friends, keep leading, keep trusting, and keep building your empire on your own terms. See you soon.